Okay, folks, we're going to be starting in 5 seconds here. Can you get any more comments or coffee last chance to get coffee and donuts? Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Computer Club's monthly meeting here in Drendel that we do each month. My name is Shelley Goldberg, and I'm the current president of the Computer Club. And this is our May meeting. The weather started to get warmer, and at least we're not, hopefully won't get any more snow. Shelley.
Louder.
Louder. This better?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then please silence your cell phones and we'll be beginning the meeting. As we normally do, we have a little agenda of Computer Club matters that we go over. We review our financial report, talk a little bit about membership, Computer Club matters. We'll go over the classes that we're holding in the lab. We'll talk a little bit about the Sun City community itself. And then we'll get on to our feature presentation. And this morning we're in for a treat because we're going to have a live demo of 3D printing. And after the presentation, don't leave right away because we actually have this room until 12 noon. So if you've got questions, quick questions, we can't do what we normally do in the lab. But if you've got things that can be answered quickly or without actually setting up a new computer or that type of thing, we can help you with that. Or if you just want to, grab a table and socialize amongst yourselves and discuss anything related to technology or computer matters. So you won't need that today. And this is our treasurer's report. It hasn't changed too much. We play around with the CDs that we have at the Heartland Bank, and so we are getting a little bit of interest on the money that we have there. So we do have a large capital reserve fund, and this will be used for purchasing new computers. Hopefully, when Microsoft announces their next version of Windows, we're planning on purchasing new computers either at the end of this year or beginning of next year, or both. So, so as I say, it's not too much change from last month. Thing to note that the last item on there is the Grafton Food Pantry, which shows the amount of money we've collected so far for this year. And that's from your donations in the jar at the back of the room, where you get your donuts. And so we do contribute to the Grafton Food Pantry. Our membership currently stands at 1,392. We are the largest club in Sun City. And talking about memberships, we have gone to a 3-year system of renewals. So when you renew your membership, if you renewed it, it is good for 3 years. The initial membership is $25, but that's for 3 years, and it's for your entire household. And the renewal rate is $15, and that also is for 3 years. So that actually comes out to just $5 a year. And if you've got 2 people in your household, then you're talking about $2.50 a year. That's about the biggest bargain in town. So When you come into the lab and you scan your card, it'll actually show you the year that your membership expires. So if it shows expiring in 2025, then the dues are going to be due by June 30th, which is next month. So you would need to renew either this month or next month, but prior to June 30th. If you don't renew by June 30th, then the rate, you lose the early bird discount, which is $15 renewal, and you'd have to go back to the $25 rate. So encourage you, if you are due, you may not be because it's a 3-year membership, as I say, but if you are due, then get your renewals in before June 30th. And for all the mothers and grandmothers out there, I want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day. And we're always looking for new volunteers to help out in the lab. Currently, we're open on Mondays and Thursdays at the lab, and that's because we don't have sufficient techs to be open more than that. So we encourage any of you who would like to, if you're not currently doing it, if you'd like to help out in the lab, you don't need a lot of experience. We can help you with it. But we, just talk to any of us either after this meeting or anytime at the lab, Mondays and Thursdays. And we're also looking for new board members, and we'll be talking about that in a second. We have our classes in the lab, and we can certainly use more people to help out teaching some classes there. And last but not least, thanks to our crew in the back that handles the making of the coffee and serving you all your donuts. And so we want to thank them, and we can always use additional people there. As some people go off on vacation from time to time, summertime or winter, and so we can always have a need for supplementing our coffee crew. Now with that, this is the month of May, and in June we have our elections. So let me call on John Sterling, who's going to talk about new member elections. I'm sorry, new board elections.
Yeah, in June, we need to have an election to replace the officers in the club. Several of the officers several of the officers have been doing the job for more than a couple of years, and we really need to get them some relief on that. How many people have served as an officer in the club before? Could we get a few more to join that crowd? Come and see me after the meeting, and we'll talk about what it's like to be an officer. The other thing that we need more of is the lab techs. We've lost several techs recently, and we really need to replace them. Members have been asking for another day of help, and we just can't do it because we don't have the volunteers. So anybody that's interested in doing one of these jobs or helping out, come and see me afterwards and let's talk about it.
Okay, thanks, John. So yeah, be sure to talk to us, and then come next month. We're going to be having our election right here in Toronto. Okay, does everybody know what this code is? That's a what's called a QR code. We're a technology club, so we're trying to use the latest technology in our own club for our own uses. And so for our volunteers that are helping out in the lab, and we're going to actually extend this to other functions too, but right now we're starting off with the lab people. You're able to sign up for which days you're available simply by using your phone and initially to sign up with this QR code. So the way a QR code works is you just use your phone, you open up the camera app on your phone, and and you focus on the QR code, and up will pop a URL code, which is a website link. You click that link, and it'll take you to the sign-up page. And there, the first time, you have to enter your email address. You don't need to register any accounts. You don't need to put in a password. Just your email address is all you need. And you'll be able to sign up for which days that you're able to help out in the lab. And with that, it'll actually be able to give you an automated confirmation that you're signed up, and it'll send you a reminder. So you'll get a reminder that you did sign up, so you won't forget. And your email address is not shared with anyone. It's all private information. So as I say, you don't even have to put a password in. So this is a new system we're trying out, and if this is successful, then we'll extend this to some of the other functions that we do as well. The Computer Club also has two subgroups, two additional clubs that are part of the Computer Club. And the first one is the Apple Club, the Apple Users Group. And we meet on the first Tuesday of each month in the lab, and that's now at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It used to be in the mornings, it's now at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So for all of you that have either iPhones or a Mac computer or iPads and would like to get more help or discussions, presentations about how to best utilize those devices, just come to the lab on the first Tuesday of the month. And the other group that we have is the Photo Club. And that meets on the first Wednesday of each month at 7 in the lab. And actually what we did yesterday was the first Wednesday. And we had an actual, what we started doing is actually having an additional discussion of some topic. Yesterday it was how to edit your photos using a phone, using a smartphone, so either an iPhone or an Android phone. So, and that we did at 6 o'clock, and then some people came for that, and some people came for the 7 o'clock session, or both. So, so we have a very active photography group. Some of you may have seen in the last 2 months, we had an exhibit of the photography work from the Photo Club. Was actually up in the art gallery at the Huntley Library, in the back of the library. So that was well appreciated. Okay, as we mentioned, the Computer Lab is open Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 12, except when we're meeting here, which is today, of course. So we have computer classes, which are always free to members, and those are held in the lab. We do have a class actually this afternoon on Android phones, and Steve is going to be teaching that, and he's going to be actually doing some a presentation on how to text photos using your Android phone. So that's at 2 o'clock today. Wednesday, May 28th, there's another Android phone class. On June 6th, there's going to be a class, and the topic there will be how to cast from your phone to another screen. So if you needed to get what's on your phone to your TV or some other device. A lot of times, you get a YouTube or even a movie that you're watching on your phone, but you'd like to see it on the big screen. Well, you can learn how to cast it to your TV. So that'll be on Friday, June the 6th. And then we have an iPhone class on Wednesday, June 11th. We have more classes. We also have some Zoom classes that are available on demand. So just watch the schedule that we send out. Okay, and then we usually talk about things that are going on in Sun City itself. And on May 9th, there will be that's actually tomorrow at 12 noon, there's a luncheon right here in Drangle where they will have a person who will be dressed as Princess Diana, and she'll be doing a presentation. There's an open mic night on May 20th at 7 o'clock. So that's kind of a Sun City Idol or talent show type thing. On May 22nd, there's a Neil Diamond tribute concert at 7 o'clock, and then an Elvis Presley tribute concert on May 29th at 7 o'clock. And the Sun City Board meets on May 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's in the Birch Room. And if you're unable to attend in person there, if you go to the Sun City website that morning, there will be a link. You can't do it in advance, but that when the meeting starts, they do put a link in there, and you can watch this from home on your TV or your device, and not have to rush over to Birch if you don't want to. And on Saturday, June 14th, they have this every year here. This is the fun walk, and then they've added the bicycling and swim to that as well. So it's a 1 or 3 mile walk with a bike ride and swim if you want to add those in. And you get a T-shirt with that, but you need to register before May 23rd. So get your registration if you're looking for that. And then, as I mentioned before, after the presentation, we will be here. We have this room till 12 noon, so you can stop by and ask us any questions here, or just talk amongst yourselves. For those of you in the back, you can come forward at that point and grab a table and just socialize. So no need to rush out. And, okay, with that, let me introduce Ken Zawinski, who is going to be giving a feature presentation and a demo on 3D printing.
Good morning. I wanted to do something about 3D printing, and finally they allowed me to do this. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. I think I pardon my. Oh yeah, is anyone here doing any 3D printing? You didn't do that.
I did take the library.
No, you didn't. They gave it to you. But
I was there.
and I'll talk about that. Okay, so I was just curious whether anybody was actually doing it now or not. A little history. can read that screen better, but I don't know where I put my glasses. Oh, here's one. No, that's my sunglasses. Okay, 3D printing was first envisioned in 1945 short story titled Things Pass By Murray Leinster. In there, he said, I feed magnetronic plastics into this moving arm. It makes drawings in the air, following drawings and scans with photocells. The plastic comes off the end of the drawing arm and hardens as it comes up. So that was 1945 that somebody envisioned 3D printing. We think this is a new technology, but it's not. In 1971, Johannes Gottwald patented the liquid metal recorder. This was something that actually printed in metal. And it was something that you could print and take off the printer and use right away. Or, and here it says you can actually melt it down and reuse it if you messed it up. So, in 1971, so 3D printing is not anything new. But owning a 3D printer in the 1980s cost upwards of $300,000 or $650,000 in 2016 dollars. This was from Wikipedia, I believe. By 2020, the cost of the entry-level 3D printers had dropped to less than $200. Although many of the printers that we've seen under $200 or $150 might be considered toys. Now they'll do it, but not with great precision. You want to get something much better than that. Here's something that I'm surprised Ken Cozy isn't here. He usually talks about NASA. Astronaut Barry Wilmore, he holds a ratchet wrench that they printed in space in 2014. They designed, it's a ratchet wrench, they designed it here on Earth, and they sent it via radio, the model of the ratchet wrench, they sent it via radio up to the space station, and then they put that in their printer, and they printed this ratchet wrench. And now they're doing a lot more of that up in space because they can't afford to stock everything that they need, but they can stock a bunch of filament, or they may even have one that prints metal. So you just melt metal and then you print whatever part you need, and then they can make anything they want. Now, 3D printing has grown into a lot of different areas. Today, you can 3D print food. There's a 3D printed pizza. You can print shoes, clothing, and body parts, and much more. Food kind of seems weird to me, but I don't know. The shoes, okay. I don't know about clothing. I'm sure they're not using a material like what I'm using here. It's a harder plastic, but that's very much possible. But the body parts, I've heard about that for quite some time. Now here is a 3D printed supercar. It's been driven on a racetrack. It weighs 1,400 pounds, and it'll accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 2 seconds. Now, it's not all completely 3D printed. The chassis of it is carbon fiber tubing, and naturally the wheels are a metal. I don't know. For a fact, some plastics can be hard, but the motor I know is not. It's a metal engine. It's a conventional motor, but I think it has a top speed of 300 kilometers per hour, which would be 186 miles an hour. So they're doing a lot more with 3D printing than most people realize. Now here, they built industrial size 3D printers, and they print an entire house, often with concrete. So the 3D printer has to be pretty substantial. There's got to be pretty big, heavy-duty I-beams, and because you got pipes that they're pumping concrete through, and it's printing with concrete. And it says they're capable of printing an entire house in less than 24 hours. Now, I don't know how big a house, but it's going crazy. And there's some things later on you'll see that where this industry is going. Now, how I got started in 3D printing, I've looked at 3D printer for many times through the years. And I thought, yeah, what am I gonna do with that? Now, once I print that cute little boat that everybody prints, it's just gonna sit there. So I thought, no, I don't need it. And then I go, there's a store in Westmont, it's called Micro Center. If you've ever been there, I love that place. I can spend hours there. But, so, well, I decided I didn't need it. So in mid-January, we were going on a cruise with some friends. And one of my friends who does 3D printing, he prints things and sells them online. So we're sitting and talking, and he says, do you know anybody that might be interested in a 3D printer that's broken, it doesn't work? Since he prints and sells things, he needed to have something working, so he just bought another printer, and he just wanted to get rid of this one. He said, I don't want any money for it, I want somebody to just take it. So I said, well, yeah, me. Not that I knew what I would do with it, but I like to tinker with things, I like to fix things. So that was the challenge for me. So I took it, and when we got back from the cruise, I called him, and my parents picked it up. Next day, I had it working. It wasn't a major problem, but people that buy these things often don't know how to fix them. And actually, they're pretty simple devices. That one there is operating right now, and they're pretty quiet. And I don't know, I'm really impressed with the precision of them. So I was hooked. In a short time, I bought 3 more broken printers. Facebook Marketplace is a dangerous place for me. And that one I bought from a guy in Lombard that said it doesn't work. He was selling it for parts for $45. So I contacted him. I said, well, I'm not familiar with any Cubic brand. I've got other Creality printers. I said, but I didn't know to take a chance on it, so would you take 40? And he said, yeah. So I drove to Lombard, I picked it up, brought it home, and a couple hours later, it was working. And I haven't invested a dime in that thing. And it works perfect. Yeah, so another printer, a girl bought it, she paid $700 for this printer. Now, the printer will print things 4 times, like the print bed is 4 times the size of that print bed. That is 220 millimeters square and 200 and so millimeters tall. This other printer is 500 millimeters square and 500 millimeters tall. You can print a whole helmet. And people who buy that, they do print things. They're into some of this, I forget what they call it. Is it cosplay? Anyway, you can print a whole like Iron Man helmet. And just take it off the printer and put it on your head. Otherwise, people have these and they have to print them in pieces and put them together. So she paid $700, and she said she used it for 20 hours and it broke. It had long cables because the printer is so big, and the cable got behind it, and when the bed was going back, it snagged the cable and it ripped out some wires, and she didn't know how to fix it. So she was selling it for $275. So I contacted her, and I said, well, you're in Romeoville, it's a long drive, what do you think, $250? She said, okay. I drove to Sunday morning, and I drove to Romeoville, picked it up, and came home, and a few hours later, I soldered the wires together, plugged in the wires that were pulled out, and it was printing. So you can get some good deals if you know how to fix things. Yeah, I have a display of some items that I printed. There's a lot more, but some of the things I've given away as gifts, and some of the things there I've given Easter eggs and things to my grandkids. You can do a lot of really neat things with 3D printing. This is, I don't know if I need this, but just some, yeah, there we go. Some terminology. But like I said, I think these things are pretty simple. You've got this built plate, is what you print on, and that's a heated plate, and you can set the temperature. Now, there's a lot of parameters you have to be aware of and set, but you set the temperature on the built plate so that things adhere better. And then this is what actually does the printing. There's the nozzle on the bottom there. And then the plastic, well, is usually on this spool up here. And then the plastic filament, which is 1.75 millimeters in diameter. This is how big it is. It comes on spools like this. This is 2.2 kilograms. 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds. So that spool goes there, and the filament comes down and goes into this, which is called the extruder. That's a little stepper motor. Stepper motors are very precise motors. They can just turn just a little bit. They're very strong. So they push the filament through a tube into this, what they call the hot end, and that's where it melts the filament. Now, it isn't usually this high. It's usually right down by the bed like this is. It's right above the object that it's printing. It can't print in air like the guy was talking about. So that goes all the way down to here, and then it prints down here. And it just squeezes out that liquid plastic. And there's a fan that cools it as soon as it hits the print bed. The print bed keeps it a little warm, but it solidifies that plastic. And you just print layer after layer. Now that thing prints 0.2 millimeters high each layer. So it takes a lot to print something that big. And that's why it takes so long. Like this little dragon that I'm printing now, that's what I'm printing now, this little dragon. It's an articulated dragon, it moves. And it comes off the printer that way, there's no assembly required. So yeah, the print bed keeps that, it tries to keep that in place. And there's things that you do to make it adhere better. Some of the sites that I went to said to use blue tape, put blue tape on the print bed, and we'll stick to that. Or glue sticks. I tried that. I bought some glue sticks and I smeared that stuff on there and made a big mess. And then someone said use Aquanet hairspray. So I found some of that in their linen closet, and I tried that, and that was all gloppy and uneven, and that's terrible. And then in our master bathroom, I found this Tresemme. It's a little more expensive, but this stuff works great. It's an ultrafine mist. You spray it on, and it's a nice, smooth surface, and it adheres sometimes too well. There's once or twice I almost thought I wasn't going to be able to get it off of that's a glass bed. And I ended up taking the glass bed off of the printer. There's just little clips that hold it. And I put it in a freezer, and that cooled it enough, and then it broke loose. But Tresemme works really well. And sometimes I need a little razor blade to get under there to pop it up a little bit, and it comes off. But anyway, here's the controller where you set temperatures and select which item you take the models, and I'll talk about the models and things later, and put it on a SD card, a micro SD card, and put it into the printer. And you can have multiples on there and just choose which one you want to print, and just hit print. And in the model description, it has the temperature of the bed, temperature of the hot end, and it sets all those for you so that you don't have to worry about it. And it's just, when it gets to the right temperatures, it starts printing, and it maintains those temperatures. The main board or motherboard is right here in this box, and that's the brains of the whole thing. They have stepper motors. There's a Z stepper, you can't see it behind there. That turns a big screw up and down behind here. And that's what raises and lowers this. So it starts out down here, and then as you're printing each layer, it moves up just a little, 0.2 millimeter, 0.2 millimeter, 0.2 millimeter, and keeps printing. Your X stepper motor is what moves this across. And then your Y stepper motor is what moves the bed back and forth. I don't know, can't really see it too well, but that bed is moving back and forth this way. And that's something that always amazed me. Even back, when I was working, we had what was called a pen plotter. And that it was similar to this, but it just had two directions, where the paper would move this way and the pen would move this way. And to watch that thing, it would always fascinate me because you could draw a perfect circle. And I can't do that with my fingers, because I'm trying to go, no, this only moves this way and this moves this way. Trying to draw a circle. And I've taken a piece of paper and a pencil and tried to do that. And I can't do it, but those things can do it. So that's about the extent of this machine. There's not that many moving parts. And yeah, there's some lubrication and things that you can do, and some wires that may come disconnected or broken, but as long as you know how to fix some things, you can get a good buy on these printers. Let's see. Okay, now, what's involved in 3D printing? Okay, you can create. If you have something in mind that you want to create, you can do that. There's software, free software online. This hobby can be pretty inexpensive. There's a lot of free software. You can create a model in something called Tinkercad. And they had like a 1-hour class at the library. I love the library, but that class wasn't very helpful. But YouTube is your friend for so many things, especially this, because there's people out there that have made so many videos. Like if you're going to use Tinkercad, there's instructors that have put stuff out there for their students, and you can just you can spend hours going through YouTube videos just on Tinkercad. And just 3D printing in general. And there's some things that, bed leveling and things that, there's YouTube videos about all of that. So anyway, you can create your own design in Tinkercad, and I've got some things here that I made in Tinkercad, and then downloaded the model in an STL file, and then you put that into what's called a slicer program, which a slicer program is like a CT scan. It takes that object and it scans it just layer by layer. You tell it if it's 0.2 millimeters, it slices it into 0.2 millimeter slices and generates code how to print each of those slices. And then it puts it all together into a file that you then take and copy it to a micro SD card or SD card, put it in the printer, and then turn the printer on, and print, and it'll print that object. It's not really complex. Now, unfortunately, I didn't have anyone. I suppose I could have gone back to my friend, but he's really busy and I didn't want to bother him. So I was pretty much on my own, but there was no one for me to go and ask, how do you do this, how do you do that? So, YouTube. Now the ST file it's a 3D image of the object. Now that dragon on there, that's this big green dragon I have down here. You can look at the stuff after the meeting. I just took the STL file that I found online and downloaded it. And then I brought it into this program, which is the slicer program. And I just said, okay, slice this. And it sliced it and generated the G-code file that I talked about. And then you tell it to save it. And I saved it to an SD card. put it in the printer and printed it. There's other things that are in that Slicer program, that things that you can change that you don't always have to. It can be the same for multiple prints. Temperatures, print speed, location of the build plate, height, 0.2 millimeter, just things like that. But and then some Slicer programs can be connected directly to the printer rather than putting it on an SD card. You can just plug it in USB, and just hit print on your computer, and it'll send the code right to the 3D printer, just like you do with your printer you have at home now, except with the printer in 3D. Okay, a few things that I've made. On the left there, there's coasters. My daughter, when she was younger, she was really into Nightmare Before Christmas. And she watched that movie I don't know how many times. So I saw this online, the model for that, for all 4 characters. So I downloaded that, and I printed it. And I had 2 printers going, doing this, maybe 3 printers. Because I had one printer doing the black base, and then I had 2 other printers, one doing 2 of the white inserts, and another printer doing the other 2 white inserts. And when they were done, I just took them, I glued the white inserts into the base, and I had a gift for my daughter. And then I found out that my granddaughter liked that too, so I had to print another set. Now in the middle, I had a radio on my, a scanner radio on my desk that was on a magazine, so I wouldn't scratch, because it was a mobile radio. Had screws on the bottom. Didn't want to scratch the desk by the magazine, but you had to hold it and push the buttons, and it was annoying. So I thought, oh, I can make a stand for that. So I went on Tinkercad and just a simple design, just designed a square like that. I put a hole in the middle so it would print faster and not use as much plastic. And I put sheet on it. And some things you have to think about when you're doing this is you don't print it like you see it. So I started printing and started making these 4 squares. And then I thought, oh, that's not going to work, because when it gets to the top of those 4 squares, it's going to want to go across, and there's nothing underneath to hold it. Now you can print supports, but it's too much time and support. So I just went back to my design, and I just flipped it over, printed the top part first, and then printed the legs, and that worked perfectly. And then I put my, it says Mr. KFC in there. KFC is my initials, so I have fun with that. And you can print holes. So you bring in text, and whatever font you want, just one click. You click on make it a hole. Boom. And you take that hole and you just slide it down into your object, and it prints a hole. Really nice. The Happy Easter. I've got 2 of them here. One was small, one was larger. I downloaded it, I printed it, it was too small. I wanted to put that on the table at Easter. So I thought, it needs to be bigger, so I made it bigger. I printed it in multicolored filament, and that came out pretty nice. Now, one thing that you want to stay nearby when you're printing, because sometimes if things don't adhere to the bed, things happen. And they call that spaghetti. You can see the object that I'm trying to print, but that came loose. And when it does, that starts sliding around, and it's just spewing filament and making a big mess. So fortunately, I was able to stop it before it went too far, but that wasn't too bad. But you have to stay nearby. Some people will leave it run. Like, well, that one green dragon took like 14 hours to print. I'm not going to sit there for 14 hours and watch it, so I'm just checking on it occasionally. And you can put a camera on there, and there's ways of doing it. Now, if you want to download models, you'd be surprised. If you go to some of these websites, you'll find things out there that, oh, that's pretty cool, I'd like to print that. So that may get you hooked. So Thingiverse, Printables, Times, Cults 3D, Creative Reality Cloud, and there's even some more that I didn't list anymore, but there's millions of models of different things. Some things, like a printer, it's just a real thin, but like a rose. There's cars, there's, some people design things and sell them. The model online, you can download, you pay for it, download, and then you can print it. People have made cars, like a Hummer, just a model Hummer. You can print all the parts and put that together in the model Hummer. And there's even some military Jeep. It prints it in green, and then if you have a two-color printer, it'll print the tires at the same time in black. Or otherwise they have it separate, you can print them separately. But they printed, you know how, when we were, when we were kids, when you bought a model, it had this like frame with all the pieces attached to it, and you break them off and then glue them together. Some of these things, you can print it like that. It's really cool because it brings back a lot of memories of childhood. You have to trim off the whole extra stuff. But yeah, so you can print a Jeep all in one piece and break out the pieces and assemble it. Now the software, so just going and looking at these, you'll find hooks you can put on the wall, or just somebody. I wanted to go to the website. Well, actually, I could right now. No, that would mess up the recording here. But yeah, go to one of these websites, and you'll find all kinds of things. The software to design models. Now, I had talked a little bit about Tinkercad. It's a free website. You can go there, and they have, you can design 3D models. You can also design electronic circuits. If somebody's into electronic circuits, you can design electronic circuits on Tinkercad. But it was made, can't think of the name of the company offhand, but it's a well-known CAD company. And they made this as something for like home use. But it's getting more and more sophisticated all the time. So you can do some really elaborate things in Tinkercad. Now, if you want to go further, there's Onshape, there's FreeCAD, Fusion 360, and Blender. But there's learning curves to all of this. Even Tinkercad has a learning curve, but like I say, any of these, if you go on YouTube, you can find out more about any of these. Now, I did have a, since you can't really see what's being printed there, I did download a time-lapse video of printing a dragon. This is not me. I just downloaded this. I didn't record this myself. It's only a few seconds, about 40 seconds. You can see how the joints are, the little posts, the little circles there. And if you see how fluid these things are when they're finished, it prints this all in one piece, like that. You take it off the printer, it's done. It's articulated, it's so flexible and smooth. It's really cool. And people, I gave one to our finance guy. He's got it on his desk. He just loves the thing. And I gave it at my dentist office. I had some things there, and they went crazy over some of the things that I had. So I said, okay, you can have that. But I don't know, it's cool. Now, I know not everybody wants to run out and buy a 3D printer, but our public library has a number of 3D printers, a couple of different models. Some of them are plastic filament like this. Some of them are called resin printers. That they use lasers and they print in a liquid. And actually, the resin printers are a little smoother and better quality, but you can get some really nice quality. If you come up and look at this stuff, I'm pretty pleased with what I've got here. So, if you look at some of those websites that I told you about, and you find something you want, you can download that model and take it to the library and make an appointment with Alex. Alex works in their creative studio. Really nice guy. I've gotten to know him very well. And actually, I had him and Doug Cataldo, who was with the Huntley Library, now he's thinking with Al Hamilton. They came and they did a presentation on all their new things that they had when they reopened the library. And 3D printing was one of them, but they just kind of glossed over it. That's why I wanted to do this to get into a little bit more. So they'll print it for you. And the only thing you pay for is the materials, which is minimal. It might cost you a couple dollars. Now, unless you go crazy. He had some stuff in there that somebody wanted printed. It was hydroponics. So he had some kind of a hydroponic thing for plants, if you know what hydroponics is. It's growing plants without soil. You just water them, I guess. So they get something like this tall, you had to print in pieces, but they pay for the material. And so they're happy to do it. So yeah, go, if nothing else, just go visit the library and go to the creative studio. They've got a lot more than 3D printing. They've got laser cutters. You can take a piece of wood and you can cut out a design in wood. I've got a couple pamphlets from there. I asked them, and they said, well, you can take a couple, because you might need to take their whole supply. So if you're really interested in it, there's a couple pamphlets up here about the creative library. Or you can call, make an appointment with Alex, and the phone number up there, and his email address. He's not there on Mondays. He's there on Tuesday through Saturday. Or Sunday. Saturday, I think. But really nice guy, easy to talk to. So go see him. Other print services, there are online print services where you can send a model to them and they'll print it, but they're going to charge you for the service. So there's a website, it's cults3d.com, and you can go there and you can find these services, but I would use the library. Now, what is a 3D print farm? It's a whole new industry that's popped up. People buy a number of printers, some hundreds of printers, and they print, I don't know if they're all printing the same thing or printing different things, but there's people that are making a good business out of 3D printing. Like this picture up there, oh, no, that's the next one. This picture up there, it's a little blurry, but it was a pretty cool picture to show you how many there are. Now, in each of those sections, on each shelf, there's like 5 printers. And I can see 2 shelves, and there might even be a top shelf with printers on it. It looks like there is. So that would be 15 printers in each of those sections. And it looks like there's about 6 sections, if you can count all the way back. That's a lot of printers. I don't know how you do that. How do you keep up with it? How do you run that? That would drive me crazy. They must have a central computer that talks to all those printers that tell it, okay, print, and they all just go to life. But there are people making good money doing that. Now, there's my print farm. It's 3 of the 4. One of them is this one, and the other 2. But these printers, no, they're probably about $200, $250. By me, the way I've got things, and whatever I have had to upgrades that I put on, and I don't know, less than $500 invested in this. And then filament, I probably got about 20 different spools of filament in different colors. Because you start printing things and, I want to print this frog in green, I don't want it in black, or orange. So, you start buying more colors of filament. And they're getting more creative with filament. Like what I've got here is multicolored filament. Like the one spool, it's red, blue, and green, and the other one's just blue and green. And I've got gold that I printed the Easter eggs in. I've got multicolored that I printed the Easter bunny in. So you start buying more and more and more filaments. So that's what I've got going. There's exercise equipment right behind us. I had to put a little shield there, so it doesn't look too cluttered the other way.
Whoa! It was the worst thing I ever heard. It was terrible. So it wasn't that bad. There were parts of it I liked. Yeah, I liked it. It was good. It was great. Wonderful. How can I say it? Go away. Get out of here. Get out of here. Seattle. Go away. That's right.
Okay, that's it. There's a lot more that I could have talked about, but people don't like to stay too long here, so I tried to cut it as short as possible. You have a question?
Yes, do these things have an automatic shut off, or do we have to just watch it?
As far as I know, they don't have an automatic shut off. Anything that I printed, it will shut itself down pretty much. And just like this one, I know when it's done, the temperatures go down, everything kind of turns off, but it's still got power on. But there's no fans running, there's no heat. So it's just sitting there, just power on, the display is lit, and that's it.
Is there a self-cleaning feature on these?
There is no self-cleaning, but there are ways of using certain cleaning filaments that will help to clean the nozzle. The nozzles aren't that expensive, you just change the nozzle if it's clogged. So it's pretty easy to maintain. Sometimes you have to put a little lubrication somewhere around it, but not a lot of maintenance required. And on the ones that I've gotten from people, they didn't do a lot of maintenance on them. Anybody else have any questions?